So first, the opponents actually attacked the use of uranium and how we are, at the rate that we're going right now, and especially if we increase the amount of plants we have, we're going to run out of uranium. However, as my colleague mentioned over here, we actually have undiscovered veins of uranium that are going to end up billions of tons. Furthermore, there's actually alternatives to uranium, such as thorium. Thorium is potentially an effective replacement for uranium. And from the quote from the World Nuclear Association, thorium fuel cycles offer alternative features, including lower levels of waste generation and providing a diversification option for nuclear fuel. So there are actually better alternatives to uranium to be used. However, they just need to be developed. With a lack of money in the industry, this technology isn't actually able to be developed. Furthermore, they went on to say that their nuclear power plants are spots for terrorist attacks, as well as how long they take to build. However, there's actually a new plant being constructed right now in Georgia. And from the federal regulatory, from the article, federal regulators approved 2 new nuclear reactors in Georgia. There's a quote that says, "The design for the 2 nuclear reactors is a new one, which is intended to withstand earthquakes and plane crashes, and to be less vulnerable to cutoff of electricity, which set off the triple meltdown in Fukushima." This new technology that is being constructed right now would solve the problems that Japan faced, which is the main one is the earthquake, as well as the electric failure, as well as the problems that Chernobyl faced in 1986, 30 years ago. How old was that technology? How old were the computers and everything that they used? It was pretty much archaic. We are bounds and leaps above that technology and above the amount of information that we have on nuclear power as it is today. Going on, they also talked about how, actually, there's also facts that nuclear waste can potentially be recycled and used up. Uranium still, after it's been used up, still contains about 95% of its energy. With, again, the development in nuclear technology, there's development in a new reactor. From the Center of Reactor Information, there's a quote that says, "The IFR, which is a new reactor, refining process also produces a waste with less volume and shortened radioactive life. So we can literally produce reactors that would use up the used uranium, thus actually conserving the amount of fuel that it takes to produce energy." Also, most of the storage that these plants produce are actually being kept securely and safely on site of each nuclear station in special pools. In the quote from the NRC, which is a Nuclear Regulatory Commission, they said that currently most of the spent nuclear fuel is safely stored in specially designed pools at individual reactor sites around the country. For the amount of time that it takes up, yeah, there is fuel there is used up uranium that is being exported, but not in as much amount as my opponents would like you to think. Furthermore, with the transportation issue of used up uranium, the transportation of nuclear waste is actually a relatively simple process. Again, from a quote from the NRC, there are over the last 30 years, thousands of shipments of commercially generated spent nuclear fuel have been made throughout the U.S. without causing any radiological releases to the environment or public. And just to end up, the Americans are actually beginning to take side of nuclear energy. And from the last quote from the NEI, Nuclear Energy Institute, it says that in the new telephone survey of 1,000 U.S. adults, 62% of respondents said they favor the use of nuclear energy as one of the ways to produce electricity in the U.S. Thank you.
It's me.